Okay, let's talk about the weather. It's kind of crazy, right? One minute we're dealing with record-breaking heat, and the next, bam, a historic winter storm buries us in snow. It feels chaotic. Well, what if I told you there's a way to diagnose this? A way that's over 1,000 years old. We're going to dig into how an ancient text sees our planet's fever.
So let's get right to it, the thing that trips pretty much everyone up.
You've heard it, I've heard it, maybe you've even said it yourself. If the planet is supposed to be warming, then why are we getting these absolutely brutal, record-shattering cold snaps? It doesn't seem to add up, does it? And look, that confusion makes perfect sense if you're thinking about temperature as this simple, straight line going up. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it entirely? What if it's not a line, but something else? There's an ancient way of thinking that completely reframes the problem. And to find that new perspective, we're going to dive into an ancient text, not a weather almanac, but a classic of Chinese medicine. We're looking for a diagnosis of the whole system. This is the Huangdi Neijing, also known as the Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon. Now, this isn't some dusty old book about predicting rain. Think of it more like a user's manual for how nature works, how systems, whether it's our own bodies or the entire planet, are constantly trying to find balance. So forget the idea of a simple one-way street of rising temperatures. This book describes a world of massive cyclical forces, like a cosmic dance. And in this dance, when one force gets way too strong, the system doesn't just take it. Oh no, it pushes back, hard. And that powerful pushback, it actually has a name. And this one concept, it might just unlock that whole paradox of how you can have extreme heat and extreme cold at the same time. It's called Sheng. And the translation is just fantastic. Victory and revenge. Think about it. When one force, like heat, gets so dominant that it scores a huge victory, we're talking a scorching, record-breaking summer, nature doesn't just roll over. It comes back with a revenge force, an opposing power, to violently slam things back into balance. The text puts it so simply, it's almost poetic. Cold extremes produce heat, heat extremes produce cold. It's not a suggestion. It's presented like a fundamental law of physics. The more you stretch that rubber band in one direction, the more ferociously it's going to snap back. Okay, so here's the big reveal, the whole point. That record-breaking cold, it's not a contradiction to the warming trend. According to this view, it is a direct consequence of it. It's the planet's own forceful, almost immune system-like response to the fever of excess heat. The heat literally causes the cold. So once you get that, it starts to paint a much bigger picture. We're not just looking at a planet that's getting a little warmer, we're looking at a whole system that's been knocked completely out of sync. And this is where the two ways of seeing things really split. You know, the modern view often treats the Earth like a machine, a car that's overheating. But this ancient perspective, it sees the Earth as a living body. And what we're seeing aren't mechanical failures, they're symptoms. The planet has a fever, and it's swinging wildly between burning hot and having bone-chilling shivers as it tries to fight something off. This sick state has a name in the Huangdi Neijing, qi jiao bian. Basically, it means the communication channels are down. The normal, healthy exchange of energy between, say, heaven and Earth gets blocked. And when the planet's own circulatory system gets clogged up, you get chaos. So how does this chaos actually happen? It starts with something called not abdicating. Imagine the heat from last summer was supposed to leave the stage, but it just refuses to go. It lingers. This creates this huge buildup of energy, like an unpaid debt that's racking up crazy interest. Eventually, the system can't handle it, and nature has to come in like a debt collector, unleashing a massive, violent storm to settle the account all at once. That's the revenge. All right, so that's the how, but what about the why? What's causing this massive imbalance to begin with? Well, the text points a finger not just to nature, but at us, at our relationship with it. This one line really cuts right to the core of it. To go against the natural flow is to create internal conflict. It's pretty profound, right? The idea is that when our way of life is constantly fighting against the planet's natural beat, we're not just creating external problems, we're generating a deep conflict within the system itself. Focusing only on something like CO2 is, well, it's like a doctor only looking at a cough, but ignoring the fact that the patient has a raging infection. The CO2 is a symptom, a big one for sure, but the underlying disease is deeper. It's a fundamental disharmony between how we live and how the world works. Now, thinking this way can lead you to ask some pretty tough questions. For example, here's a quote from Dr. Xu Wenbing, who interprets this ancient text for our times. He suggests that maybe the intense focus on global climate change could be, in some ways, a kind of commercial conspiracy. Now, we're sharing this not to endorse it, but to show how this ancient perspective forces you to question the simple, modern narratives we're often given. It makes you wonder what else might be going on. So, let's be really clear. The conclusion here isn't, oh, everything's fine, the climate isn't changing. Far from it. The conclusion is that what we are experiencing, these wild, violent swings from blistering heat to Arctic cold, are the symptoms of the Earth itself trying to course correct. It's a painful, cyclical process. It's the planet trying to fight off a fever and heal itself. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Are we looking at this crisis the right way? Are we running around with a toolbox trying to fix a machine that's overheated, when maybe, just maybe, we should be thinking like healers, trying to help a living system recover its balance? And maybe the first step in that healing is fixing our own relationship with it.
Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit. See you in the next video.